So today I wanted to ask ChatGPT some quick questions. A lot of this information is based on a book that I read, probably one of my first 10 books. It's called The Millionaire Next Door. And it's a book that was published by Dr. Stanley and Dr. Danko. It's a very long book. It told a lot of stories about wealthy people and people who waste a lot of money as well. It's a very eye-opening book, so I want to share some of those points with you guys. I want to just get to the bottom line here. Right, what does it take to actually become a millionaire? So the book shares a statistic: 80% of millionaires are first generation millionaires. So what I mean by that is when you first think about what a millionaire is, you're thinking about the guy who's driving a Rolls Royce, who's driving a Lamborghini, wears expensive clothing, maybe has a Rolex, somebody who inherited their wealth, maybe they have like a big mansion. That's kind of like what the news media is wanting us to think when we think that this is what a millionaire is. And it doesn't really help with social media, where there are guys that will be flexing their Lamborghinis that they probably rented, showing off that as a lifestyle for what a millionaire is. It's not realistic. What I mean by it's not realistic is I'll show you the statistics. I'll show you what the actual data shows for is what truly is a millionaire. I want to start by showing this calculator here. So this is just the compound interest calculator. I want to talk about what the bare minimum is. This is the minimum for what it takes to become a millionaire. The minimum, okay? I don't know if you've ever heard this statistic before, but it only takes about $100. It takes about $100 to become a millionaire. So we're taking a look at a monthly contribution. Well, I guess we'll start from the top, right? Initial investment, let's say $0. $0, and I'm gonna make the assumption that the person who's doing this calculation is the age of 21 years old. I have a 21-year-old that wants to retire at the age of 65. I'm being as generic as possible. So with the monthly contribution of $128 a month, $128 a month for 44 years. This is from the age of 21 to the age of 65, with the 10% return every year. What this means is you close your eyes and you put your money into the S&P 500, which returns 10% per year. Just put your money in there, $128, $128, $128. You don't care if the market's down. You don't care if the market's up. You don't care if Jim Cramer is saying sell, 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 sell. You don't care if the people on CNBC are saying, oh my God, the market's in a bubble. None of that matters. You close your eyes and you just put the money in, 128, 128, 128. And after 44 years, you retire. This is the graph. You will end up with $1 million, right, with the S&P 500. Now, I do want to say that the S&P 500 rarely actually returns 10%. Some years it returns much less. They could go negative in some years. Other years they return like 40%, 20%. But on average, it's 10% every single year. So that's taking into account all the volatility that happens. So again, this is the absolute bare minimum. Obviously, if you're excited about investing and you make a decent salary, the average salary is like what, $50,000. I would hope that with the average salary of $50,000, you'd be able to put in more than just $128 a month. And that is why 80% of millionaires are first generation millionaires. There's no luck involved here. They didn't win the lottery. It's all from consistency. It's a slow and steady process that gets you there, right? So let's go ahead and look at what ChatGPT has told me. These are people that live well below their means. Most people here, they're not trying to drive around with a luxury car. They're not trying to live in the most expensive neighborhood. It's called the millionaire next door. What that means is if you look at your neighbors right now, you look to your left, you look to your right, those neighbors that are living around you, you have no clue. They could be millionaires. And it's because they don't show it. They're not trying to drive the expensive car. They're not trying to live in the most expensive part of town. They live in a modest house. They drive a modest car. The only way you would find out they're a millionaire is if you do a financial audit. You look at their finances and you'd be surprised. You're like, whoa, you're a millionaire? I had no clue. That is the millionaire next door. So they live below their means. They have a decent amount of education. Of course, the higher your education, in theory, the higher you get paid. And the higher you get paid, the higher you can input into this calculator. Statistically, they own their own business. The book says the statistic is about 66%. About 2/3 of millionaires own their own business. Of course, that's not absolutely required. You could just have your decently paying job, you invest consistently, and you will become a millionaire. Not guaranteed, I can't guarantee anything, but you should, right? They invest wisely, this is very important, and they're disciplined and they're focused. Now, in this current world, we have a lot of people who, it's more of an instant gratification world. Those that are not disciplined, they focus on strategies to get rich quick, non-sustainable strategies that involve a lot of luck. For most of these people, I'm trying to speak for the millionaire next doors. Most of these people, they probably don't focus so much on luck as much as they do on a disciplined and steady approach to gain wealth, right? Next question I asked ChatGPT is, what is the average age of a millionaire? The average age is 62 years old. I look at a statistic posted by Fidelity. The average age is like, what, 49 years old. I think by 49, a lot of people who become millionaires, they become millionaires at the age of 49. So hopefully not that late, right? 62 years old, as I've illustrated based on the calculator, right? If you want to become a millionaire by the age of 65, you're putting in about $128 a month. These are guidelines, these are numbers. If you put in more money, you should in theory have higher returns. I think this is a good point here. I'm asking ChatGPT, how much money do millionaires spend on shoes, watches, and cars based on the book The Millionaire Next Door? They don't spend exuberant amounts of money on things that go down in value. What I mean by that is you could argue a good pair of shoes in good condition, you could resell those shoes, okay, fine, right? Maybe a watch, if you buy a really rare watch, maybe it can go up in value. I acknowledge that those are things that happen, but the vast majority of people are not buying these watches and shoes to resell them, right? They're buying it to use it. Most millionaire next doors are not spending that much money on shoes. They're not spending that much money on watches. Contrast that to what I see nowadays, right? I have a coworker who, he's a pharmacy technician. Pharmacy technicians don't make that much every hour, right? Like what, $18 an hour, I'm guessing. He financed an Apple Watch. He paid about $800 for an Apple Watch. And to me, that's just like nuts, right? Because you can get an Apple Watch, an older model of an Apple Watch for $100 on Amazon, like a refurbished Apple Watch for $100. Knowing that he spent $800 on an Apple Watch, he went into debt to finance the Apple Watch. That's not the behavior of what a millionaire next door would do. The majority of millionaires do not spend more than $30,000 on a car. Now, I will say that this book is an older book, so if we use inflation adjusted numbers, you get about $50,000. So most millionaires are not spending more than $50,000 on a car, right? So again, think about the Lambo, think about the Rolls Royce. People who do end up spending that much money, they're losing money, right? I want to bring this point home, okay? What do millionaires actually do? They buy things that go up in value. In general, they want to spend their money on things that go up in value. What does a car do? The moment you drive it off the lot, the car loses 10% in value. In 3 minutes, you've lost 10% in 3 minutes. Like, that's an achievement. I'm looking at this calculator. You get 10% in 1 year. It takes you a year to make it 10%, right? You lost 10% in 3 minutes. That is, I'm just putting it out there, right? These are the numbers, right? I want to put these numbers out here. I want to share this information. So if you appreciate this information, if you think that this is helpful, this is eye-opening, go ahead and give me a thumbs up, give me a like. It would help me out greatly. I want this YouTube channel to grow so that people are aware that you can become a millionaire. You can do this. 80% of millionaires are first-generation millionaires. I want people to know that. I want to tell you guys a story about my car as it relates to me, like what I would recommend other people do as well. So we'll get to that later on in this video. I want to get a little bit more information from ChatGPT here. So I heard a statistic that most people who own a Rolex make less than this amount per year. Can you elaborate on that? ChatGPT corrects me, says the average income of a Rolex buyer in the United States is around 150 grand. Remember what I said? A millionaire will spend money on things that go up in value, not things that go down in value. And while a Rolex may retain its value for the most part, it does not mean it's going to go up in value 10% every year. The study finds that a significant number of buyers earn less than 100 grand per year. 20% of Rolex buyers earn less than 75K every year. Like, imagine that. 75K per year. How much does a Rolex cost, right? They cost like 7,000, 9,000, some of them way more than that. So just imagine you're buying a low-end Rolex for $7,000, right? You take in 75 grand, you lose 20% to taxes. So you're spending $7,000 on a Rolex. That's over 10% of your take-home pay. Over 10% of your salary is spent on a Rolex. 20% of Rolex buyers are doing that. It's just nuts. I go ahead and I ask ChatGPT to give me some more points about the Millionaire Next Door. Again, if you want to take this journey, you want to learn more about finances, go ahead and give me a subscribe. I want to become the next Millionaire Next Door. I'm giving myself a few more years, about 4 more years. I want to become a millionaire by then. There's no gambling, there's no luck. It's all just a very systematic approach of investing and saving to get myself to millionaire status. Before I go through this list of 20 things, I just want to talk about my story about cars. The Millionaire Next Door, they have this terminology called a PAW, prodigious accumulator of wealth, or something like that. What that means is they accumulate wealth, right? That's the first type of person that the Millionaire Next Door book describes. The second type of person that the book describes is somebody who wastes a lot of money. And there's a story in that book where they talk about a doctor that makes 700 grand a year. You would think that a guy like that would have a massive net worth, but the book talks about this doctor and says how much money he spends. He's trying to keep up with the Joneses, lives in the most expensive part of town, he feels like he has to play the part because everyone knows he's a doctor. He has to spend money as if he's a doctor, and he has no savings. So I want to contrast that with my experience buying a car. The car that I drive is a Lexus ES 250. Now, you're thinking to yourself, oh, Lexus, that's a luxury brand. I bought a used car, and that's very common among millionaires. They buy used cars, as shown in the book. The reason why I bought a used car is because the moment you drive that car off the lot, it loses like 10% of its value. The first year that you have that new car, it loses about 20% of its value. The second year, that car loses another 10%. The third year loses like another 10%, give or take, right? So after those like 3 to 4 years, the price begins to plateau. So it's not losing 10%, 10%, 10% every year after that as well, after those like first 3 years. And after the car loses that amount of value, that's when someone like me, who wants to become the next millionaire next door, that's when I come in and I want to buy that car. I bought that car off of a corporate executive who drove the car for 3 years, like 25,000 miles on it. Car was in great condition, no accidents, no floods. The only reason they're selling that car is because they wanted to upgrade to a BMW. The moral of the story with that is, I bought the car after it lost all 3 years of the value that a car would lose, like 10%, 10%, 10%, would lose a lot of value. From there, the car's value really began to plateau. And this is the experience of what a millionaire next door would do. With that, let's go ahead and go through the rest of this list, right? So most millionaires, they live modest lifestyles. They accumulate wealth through diligent saving, smart investments, and hard work. I think this really encapsulates the main ideas of this video. They work in some professional field. So what I mean by that is, again, we talk about this idea here of the $128 a month to become a millionaire. If you're making a very low amount of money, there are a few things you can do. You can go back to school, maybe do a trade school. You go back to school and get an actual higher degree. Of course, the side hustle, that is an opportunity as well. Find a way to increase the amount that you can contribute to your investments, and that is a way for you to get into millionaire status faster. Most millionaires live in middle-class neighborhoods and drive modest cars. Very long-term perspective when it comes to investing. So what that means is if the market goes down, if CNBC is talking about how the sky's on fire, aliens are invading, we're all gonna die, they don't care, right? They invest, they stick with their plan, consistent and disciplined. Let's see, they're self-made. I think this is a really good point. Point number 13, it says millionaires started from a lower income household and they worked their way up through education and hard work. So there's no get rich quick. This is not about luck, right? You're not trying to buy lottery tickets. You're not trying to gamble your way up there. You're going through a very consistent plan. And yeah, I mean, I think that pretty much encapsulates everything. Again, if you found this video useful, go ahead and give me a like. It'll help me expand my reach to other people so we can all get rich together. Aside from that, that's it for now. I will see you guys later.